All right, peace and blessings, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the STEM Files, where we highlight the best and brightest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. On tonight's show, we chat with Brother Shaheed Muhammad, electrical engineer and fellow member of the Mighty Fruit of Islam of the Nation of Islam. We will be chatting about being an engineer and on your quest to better. Tune in for more information after this. All right, all right.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Yes, sir. Walaikum salam. Again, welcome, family, back to the STEM Files. We are the voice of STEM talent in Black culture. We are live here every Thursday and Saturday at 6 p.m. live via Facebook at the STEM Files, YouTube, the STEM Files. Make sure to subscribe and to follow us for all content, current and ongoing. Follow us on Instagram at the STEM Files, THESTEM FILES. I am one of your co-hosts, Jabril Muhammad, aka Jabrilliant Engineer, a civilian mechanical engineer with a focus on naval ship fluid systems and a background in material science and engineering, typically joined by my co-host Tariq Muhammad, aka Tariq Cardiac, a biomedical research scientist with a background in cardiovascular pathobiology, the study of how diseases form in the heart and blood vessels. But family, that's enough about us. As always, we don't come before you to talk much about ourselves, but about the wonderful, powerful, dynamic guests that we bring on the show. Without further ado, I want to introduce to some and just keep it going for others, Brother Shaheed Muhammad. What's going on, beloved? Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. How you doing today, bro?
I'm well now that I see you, bro. As you can see, I got to kind of simmer down a little bit because I'm a little too excited. So I'm going to do my best because when I get to building with the bros, the energy get to flowing, and you already an electrical engineer, so it's a lot. It's a whole lot. So
praise be to Allah.
I'm just going to, we're going to have fun tonight. We're going to do our best. So now I want to go into a bit of your background, and then we're going to get straight to our questioning for this evening. So without further ado, we have our brother, Shaheed Muhammad, graduated in 2016 from Morgan State University in electrical engineering with a concentration in power and energy. He had 2 consecutive internships with NASA Goddard Space Flight Center, in which he was working on a star identification algorithm, worked for 2 years in system integration, being exposed to fundamentals of both primary and secondary radar systems, and currently works as an electrical distribution engineer in Washington, D.C. He's also an entrepreneur, being a member of Al Safat LLC, which is a multifaceted engineering firm designing real tangible solution-based technology in a critical nation-building industries such as energy and agriculture. He's also a videographer, YouTuber, and filmmaker, and he has, inshallah, he'll be an author soon, working on a book dealing with the use of science to validate the most honorable Elijah Muhammad as a messenger of Allah. Family, definitely a mouthful, but that brother, like I said, he's heavy duty. He is a beautiful brother, and like I said, he is actually working on all of this and more. So we're gonna get right into it. Beloved, again, this is the STEM Files, right? So we like to make sure that we throw around scientific terms, we break them down so that all of our listeners, whether seasoned in STEM or interested in STEM, can understand everything we're talking about. So, as it pertains to electrical engineering, could you please define electrical engineering for us and the different areas that it can be used in as it pertains to industry and other areas as well?
Yes, sir. So electrical engineering is a very broad discipline in which there's a plethora of different things that you could get into. So it could be anything from designing circuit boards, which we use in all of our electronics, to actually working in power generation. So what I specifically focused on in college was energy, power and energy. So taking courses in renewable energy, energy systems, power electronics, and things of that nature, because I knew going into college that I wanted to work in energy generation. So, we want our own nation. We're going to have energy systems. We're going to need our own electricity and our own means of producing energy in its various forms. So that's what I went to school for. But as a discipline, electrical engineering is very broad and is room for all types of endeavors.
Yes, sir. Awesome. You mentioned power generation, talk about energy, and we look at this current climate, COVID-19, sheltering in place, some people being off grid, and just a lot of things going on that are adverse to the quote unquote norm. Why power generation? What's so important about that? And then what are your thoughts as it pertains to big money as like oil, fossil fuels, and these renewable energy sources, solar, hydroelectric, wind power, right? And some other renewable sources as a means of replacing what we use right now.
Right. Yes, sir. That's a great question. Power generation is so significant because it's at this point in time, it's a very fundamental aspect of our day-to-day lives, and the fact that technology that we use to get by on a day-to-day basis is derived from electricity. So our houses run on electricity, our cars, our cell phones, and if they don't have an energy source, then they won't function. So in 2020, it's a fundamental aspect of our lives on a day-to-day basis. So anytime we're talking about producing our own civilization, our own nation, we could not have an autonomous modern nation without our own means of energy generation. So energy is so significant, that's evident, and we look at the geopolitical situation with the world and how all the world powers, the Middle East and the oil that comes from the Middle East dictates a large percentage of geopolitics because of how vital energy is to the foundational systems of today. So it's very pivotal. And what I think about in regards to traditional fossil fuels and modern renewable technology that's emerging is I think that renewables are the future. And I think they should have always been the future. I think that they should have always been pushed as the primary method of energy generation because energy is everywhere. It's in energy and matter, the same thing in different forms, and energy is available in so many different ways if you have the right mindset to extract the energy from the environment in the right way. So with renewables, I always say that if we're building a team to produce renewable energy technology, you need an ecologist as part of your team to specify what type of energy you are based off where you are in the world, because different locations have different resources that are available.
I heard a lot with that statement, very profound. You talked a lot about really team building. Anyone who's an engineer, you and I, other people, we understand as early as undergraduate that we didn't do anything outside of maybe the occasional homework assignment by ourselves, right? We worked in teams to create elaborate projects or very detailed projects, or to just work out a hard series of problems, because we knew that not only our engineering disciplines but our just varying mindsets and hours of sleep, if you will, were going to be advantageous in us coming to a solution from that initial problem. So I want to speak a bit about some of your experience that really piqued my interest. I mentioned how you worked for 2 years in systems integration. Systems engineering, or the concept of systems, kind of goes over our heads sometimes because we don't really understand how a lot that we look at, or really everything we look at, is a system. How is systems thinking, systems understanding crucial to really nation building, or really the understanding of how to leverage different STEM fields for the goal of nation building?
Yes, sir. That's an excellent question because it's an excellent line of thought I think that we have to get into, and thinking about systems operations and doing things in a very systematic way, and how when you do create something, a piece of technology, or a portion of the technology, and you're trying to produce a larger system, each portion has to be cohesive with the other and has to be able to be integrated together to produce something larger. So the best example of a system, of a functional operational system is the human body. You know, we have all these different components. We have the endocrine system, we have the cardiovascular system, and it's all these different nuanced pieces working together in a symphony to create what they call it. I think in circuit theory they call it superposition. I believe it's been a while, but the total is greater than the individual parts. That when it's all integrated together, it becomes it becomes so great in its some totality of it. So being systematic with the individual components is one thing, but then being able to integrate it together, you can really create something beautiful and something powerful.
Wow, you know, I'm hearing a lot of interest, right? You know, I think in our society, or at least in our community, as the Black community, there's a lot of, let's think about business. You know, I want to start this business. I want to be the CEO of this. I want to be at the head of that. But I realize that there are a lot of us who would be satisfied working for someone that looked like them within a system that they could support or get behind or treats them well. And I bring this up because I think it's so profound, the understanding that, you know, we are at a point where we do need more of our own things being started, but we also have to realize that, you know, everyone is not going to be a chief at every point in their life. Some people, just like the cog in an electronic system, are going to have to be the Indian that works and does their job very well to keep that chief afloat, thereby keeping the entire society and village as a whole intact. So I think that was very, very, very wonderful that you mentioned cogs and even the human body, which brings me to another segue. So family, if you want to follow this brother's content, particularly on social media, at King Heed, that's KINGHEED _ on Instagram. Reason I bring that up, brother has a wonderful video entitled "The Agricultural Revolution" with some more to that caption. And I really wanted to bring this up because this show is entitled "An Engineer's Quest for Better Health." Can you really start to unpack and take your time with it, the correlation between a high level understanding of engineering and health and wellness as a human being? Even just talking about how the different systems in the body work in oneness toward maintaining a level of homeostasis, or just that level of engineering involved in that, just the correlation, if you will.
Right. Yes, sir. So, I mean, I think you just said it right there. When you think about the body,
I thought I was talking too much.
No, definitely not talking too much. But you kind of, I think you answered it in the sense that when you understand that the body is just a very beautiful, delicate, and intricate system, that you have to supply it with the correct resources that it needs to function optimally and function properly. So we in the Black community suffer from a disproportionate amount of illness and disease, not because we're genetically proposed or disposed to those illnesses, but because of the environment that we're in and the incorrect food that we intake that is not matching with the system, with the nature of the system of our body. So we need to have a revolution in our community, and a large portion of that, I can't think of many things more vital to revitalizing our community to have a revolution in food, in agriculture, so that we can, you know, gain autonomy over, you know, our communities by having better food options, because it's hard to think right if you can't eat right. It's hard to for us to operate if we're not supplying our systems with the correct nutrients.
It's hard to think right if you don't eat right, bro. That's true on so many levels, right? We know how we're taught in the Nation of Islam that eating is multidimensional. It's physical, it's emotional, it's spiritual, it's psychological, right? So not only the physical food that we were just talking about as it takes to agriculture, right? But who we're listening to, what we're reading, what we're watching, what we're taking in, all of that creates the atmosphere in which this system, the human body, resides. I want to speak about your experience at MSGLV Farms. We just had our brother Michael on our last show, and I know you had the pleasure of being on the property.
Yes, sir. Shout out to brother Mike.
Shout out to big brother Mike in the comments, brother Michael JH, beloved. We're still getting great reviews and comments on that show. But you're also a new farmer yourself, or new into the agricultural field. How did that experience, particularly you being an engineer, help to shape your mental state on what needs to be done, at least what you need to do, and how will that transition to your work as a new farmer and agriculturalist?
Yes, sir. So, in kind of my journey in development, and as you mentioned before, I'm a member in the engineering firm, really a technology company that will eventually grow into an engineering firm. I also fought me and some of the other brothers in the nation, Brother Jabari, Brother Joshua, and Brother Hassan. We got together and built this out as a means to produce real viable solutions to some of the problems that we have in our community with functional operational technology to provide those solutions. So as we noted, we live in food deserts throughout the country and all of our communities. So we need better solutions. So what we're trying to do, or what we're in the process of doing now, is providing a solution by the production of geodesic greenhouses, which will enable urban agriculture all year round. It'll be climate controlled. It will have its own energy source to produce the heat or the cooling if necessary, to enable urban agriculture as a solution to the food deserts that we suffer from in our current state and position. So as an engineer, as a scientist, and really, I think that being in the Nation of Islam is such a blessing, because to me, it's the only place where you are taught or introduced to the full spectrum of your identity, right? So when I look at you, I'm not just seeing an engineer who went to University of Penn. I'm looking at God, right? In a sense that you have the ability to master anything you put your mind to, any discipline, any focus. So me, I self-identify as a God, right? As a scientist in the broad spectrum. And I use the methodology of science, of mathematics, to approach all my problems. So even though I went to school for electrical engineering, I still have the same mind that enabled me to excel in that realm, I use in other areas of science as well, such as chemistry and biology, because that's what you need to be a master in other disciplines. So now when I started growing this food in my backyard as a pilot project, I went into the science of it, how do plants actually, what's the best way to optimize the growth of a plant? Mostly it's soil science, but there's so many nuances. It's a body of knowledge, a science that needs to be mastered. So I think in general, we have to understand that we have the ability that when we utilize properly the methodology of science, that there's nothing that can stop us. There's no impediments in our way. It's just how disciplined, how focused we can be to master whatever it is that we seek to do. So in Al Safat, we're seeking to provide real tangible solutions to the biggest problems that we suffer from in our community. And that's a gateway to producing the technology that will enable us to have autonomy on a larger scale for an entire nation. So we need our own energy. That's what we went to school for. We need our own agricultural means of production. We need our own water purification system. So those are all the things that we are trying to master right now, those sciences.
That's a beautiful thing, beloved. I think as you were talking, I was trying to keep my questions in my head so I wouldn't lose them, but I'm still trying to hang on to everything you're saying. Backtracking a little bit, again, being in STEM files, trying to make sure that, we clear all words, or at least the ones that I feel like need to be clear. You said geodesic or desic greenhouse. What does the term geodesic mean?
Right. I wish I could share a picture to show you. It's a form of a greenhouse, but it's not a hoop house in the sense that it has more structural integrity than a hoop house. But it's a standard. Well, not standard. It's like formed in the shape of a dome, but it's a thin shell structure. So the definition of geodesic is like a spherical form where the skeletal struts. Am I able to share? I want to show a picture of it instead. Am I able to share the screen?
You should. It actually worked earlier today. If you don't see a share screen button or a thing at the bottom of your screen, then don't worry about it. You can keep explaining it. But I've struggled to see on my end. So.
Hold on, now my thing is kind of frozen. Okay, I think I got it right here. because I want, you can see it?
Hold on, give me a second. There we go.
So basically, this structure right here has more structural integrity than a hoop house, which will make it better suit for growing crops in the winter when there's a heavy snow load. So the same principles of a greenhouse traditionally with a hoop house, is just the structure itself is different. It's better.
Awesome. I look at it of growing up, going to the playground, you would see structures like that kind of at the playground you climb on. And from a materials perspective and even structural, you can see the interconnectedness and the spreading of stress load throughout that structure, and how not even from just being a structure protecting the greenhouse, but from an aspect or level of durability. Wind coming in, you have this very sturdy structure with the stress concentration kind of spread throughout that can really take a lot of beating in different climates. Because we know, living in North America, we get sun, we get wind, we get rain, we get snow, we get a lot of climatic changes. So a structure like that will be able to be very durable in a number of different climates where we may have farmland. So that's a wonderful segue. I'm glad we were able to show. We were able to show that visual. Family, again, this is the STEM Files, the voice of STEM talent in Black culture. We are Brilliant Engineers, typically joined by my co-host Tariq Cardiac, live on the STEM Files on Facebook, YouTube, every Thursday and Saturday, 6 p.m. Please, if you like our content, don't hesitate to donate at our Cash App, hashtag the STEM Files. That is hashtag the STEM Files. All right, thank y'all so much, and we're gonna keep it going. So I want to talk. You're a multi-talented brother. It's knowing you for some time now, and being in your presence, I've been in awe about some of the things I'm interested in, but just some of the things that you do well. In addition to the agricultural piece, high achieving in engineering and striving to bring your talents to the nation, you're also a talented videographer, right? And you have interests in animation. Can you talk to us about One Nation? I didn't get a chance to really break it out, but I want to know. We want to know what One Nation is, kind of where that stems from, and the goal or plan for that going forward.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that question. That was an idea that I've had for a while, in the sense that we talk about owning our own reality. We need our own everything, basically. So including our own forms of entertainment. However, in the kingdom of God, entertainment is not the activity which dulls your mind from being productive, right? So when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was talking about NFA Studios, he said edutainment, in the sense that while you're being entertained, you're being educated. So the concept behind One Nation is a Black animation which can teach children and adults alike real history and spiritual principles disguised as a form of entertainment in an animation, right? So instead of sometimes it's more effective. Imagine one of the big inspirations for One Nation was my favorite show growing up, which was Avatar: Last Airbender. Did you ever watch that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Easily one of the greatest shows of all time. But the reason why the show was so good was because, you agree?
I agree. Oh yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, no doubt.
Yeah, the reason why the show was so good, though, was because they took a lot of spiritual principles from around the world in real life and integrated it into the show. So what if we could do the same? What if we could teach about real historical figures, the struggles that they went through, and modern concepts that our people struggle with worldwide, and we could wrap that into an animation, so that if a child was watching that, they don't even know that they're learning real world history. They don't even know that they're getting the solutions to some of the biggest problems that the world has, that's holding the world and humanity back. They're getting that in a form of entertainment. So One Nation was, the core principles driving it is post-colonialism and tribalism in Africa. So on the African continent, I think those are some of the two biggest problems that we suffer from, in the sense that we're just coming out of colonialism from the European powers, and a lot of the mindsets that the mindsets and the paradigms and the way of life that they have established, we still suffer from. But also, even bigger than the effect of the Caucasian and the Europeans and what they've done is, prior to their arrival, the only thing that enabled them to colonize in the first place was a pre-existing tribalism that runs deep, that is prior to the Caucasians' presence. So when we are able to overcome those things, then I believe that there's no limitations in the future of how great we really can be. So what if we could teach, about the Moors, right? Yusuf Yaqub al-Manzur, who never lost a battle when he was colonizing Spain. We could teach about Queen Amanirenas of Kush in Nubia. We could teach about Shaka Zulu and Mansa Musa and Pharaoh Ramesses and all these different people in a cartoon that, an animation that, people they're not even aware of, that they're learning these deep spiritual principles of Islam or of this way of life and that, and solving the biggest problems that the world has to offer, in a fun and entertaining way. So that's the whole concept behind One Nation.
Bro, like, you got my wheels turning, because I had a similar conversation around immersion in culture, or talking about our greats or our history, if you will, at the expense of people getting too butthurt over ideology. So one of the things, like you were mentioning, Avatar was able to do. Now, again, we're watching this when it first comes out as younger men, younger women. So we're not necessarily, we knew it was something about this show that really just drew us. Oh my, yes, like, it's amazing, it's dope. The imagery, forget about it. Some of the principles just on friendship, forget about it. But as you grow, you realize you are able to appreciate 4 different cultures. One that was trying to go for world conquest, but still appreciate aspects of 4 different cultures, particularly on the Fire Nation, when Zuko really came into his own and really got a more of appreciation for fire. But, I want to just unpack this a bit, because a lot of times in our community, we see that we have a hard time learning or appreciating other, culture or ideology, in the sense that we feel like it's a threat to our own belief system. Have you ever thought of One Nation as a way to combat that thought? So, for example, I'm Moore Science Temple, I'm Hebrew Israelite, I'm in the Nation of Islam, right? Universal principles in all 3 disciplines, different ways of life, ideologies, but we still might not necessarily get but so close, individual to individual, because I don't believe that Allah came in the person of Master Father Muhammad, or I don't agree that Noble Drew Ali is my prophet or whatever. I don't necessarily identify or say Israelite versus this and the third. So I guess, how does One Nation, or what is just your general thought process on the unifying factor of our heritage versus our thought process as or ideological differences?
Yes, sir. In the Quran, the Holy Quran, it says that I made you of different different tribes so that you may know one another, right? So the differences that we have are fundamentally not for us to fight and kill one another over, but they are in order for us to grow into a deeper understanding, right? So me and you have different noses, right? If everybody had the same nose, then a nose would just be a nose. You wouldn't know that yours is long or mine is broad, or the same thing with all the different facial features that we have, the different body types, the different ways of life that we have. There's space differences are only to give us an opportunity to understand the deeper and the bigger picture. So as human beings, as all of humanity, we have failed fundamentally in that lesson. And that predates, to my understanding, the Caucasian race and their colonization of the earth. Is fundamentally, we have to get over the fact that everyone is different and we see things different. We have different perspectives, but ultimately we should be able to agree on universal principles of truth. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan always says that when you're adding 2 things, there's multiple ways to get to 7. You can do 6 plus 1, you can do 5 plus 2, you can do 4 plus 3. You can do 9 minus 2. You can do all types of ways with higher math to get to that same destination. But there's different ways to approach it. So I think that's a fundamental issue with human beings, is growing into that level of consciousness collectively, understanding that people are different. And sometimes we're vastly different in appearances and ways of life, but fundamentally we all are much more similar than we are different in terms of all the original people with the same nature. And we all want and desire, the same things, which is freedom, justice, and equality, which will ultimately lead to peace for all. So that's, in order for us to get there, though, to that end destination, Black people have been so subjugated the worst under white supremacy that I think we have to be at a functional level with just ourselves first, right? We got to be restored to a level until we can unite, with the rest of the human family of the original people. So I always think of it as in terms of Pan-Africanism. If you think about that, they say that Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah went to Lincoln University to study, right? And while he was in America, he's from Ghana. He's from Atuabo, which I actually went to when I was blessed to go to Ghana. And with me and Nadif, when we went to Ghana in 2017, me and you, our mutual friend, Nadif. So a brother from Ghana went to America, and in America, from the children of Africa in the diaspora, he learned the concept of Pan-Africanism. So our trials and tribulations through slavery gave us a new disposition on how to look at things, right? Because me and you don't say, oh no, you're a Fanti, I'm an Ashanti tribe, or I'm Mandinka, so no, we can't get along. I don't know what tribe I'm from, and you don't know what tribe you were from, so I just see you as a Black brother, as my brother who went through the same struggle. So that mindset of Pan-Africanism emerged from here in America, to my understanding, and then Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah took that back to Africa and was a pioneer in building, that new paradigm to bring in a new reality. But I always think that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad takes that a step further in introducing to us the concept of being Black, of being an original man, that ultimately that transverses, Pan-Africanism to all of the original family of humanity, that we are direct biological descendants of the originator of the heavens and the earth, not just from Africa, but the original man is from the Asiatic Black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, the God of the universe. Asiatic meaning of this entire planet. So the original man from this planet is not from Africa, but he's from the planet in all his different regions in different ways, comes in different shapes and forms, but we're all from the same creator.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're taught Islam is mathematics, and mathematics is Islam, at no limit of time. And, as we're talking, getting back to the science, and well, not even that we ever left the science, we didn't. But I want to talk up to you about your passion for proving the Honorable Elijah Muhammad right. This is something that I've known about you. And I mean, this is something that believers do, but you've always been passionate about, at least that I've known you, being able to scientifically go into the teachings and pull out for people why we don't just do this, but there's a scientific, natural based in natural law reasoning behind why we were given certain things. So in terms of the health aspect, we know we have How to Eat to Live, which on the cover of that page of the on the cover of the book, part 1 and part 2, says from God in person. Can you go into just a bit about the scientific proof or scientific backing of How to Eat to Live, picking just a couple of different disciplines from that book or those books?
Yes, sir. That's a great question, and I think that is our responsibility as scientists and engineers, is to give substance, right? So the book that I intend to write, inshallah, I want to finish it soon, but it can take some time. Is going to be titled "The Scientific Substantiation for the Messenger of Allah," because everything that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us is a verifiable body of knowledge. It's not just theology that's rooted in ancient texts, but it's actually verifiable through modern scientific means, and actually modern technology, modern scientific developments now make it readily easy to prove at no limited time at various levels of abstraction. So For example, one of the most common, or one of the emerging, I should say, diets that is being prescribed to people for better health is intermittent fasting. So we know that that has always been what Elijah Muhammad has taught us as one of the most pivotal forms of better nutrition is the intervals in between the times in which we eat. He said the longer the better for the most part. That you should never eat more than 1 meal a day, but ultimately you can go beyond that. You can eat 1 meal every other day, and you can eat 1 meal every 72 hours, 1 meal every 3 days. And now modern science is able to prove that at a subcellular level in various different ways. So some of the research that I am doing has to do with that, the biological mechanisms that fasting has on the body. I think that is one of the biggest proofs that I've come into contact with. And that was actually designed to go with long intervals in between meals. We're not even supposed to eat the way we do normally. That's not the way the human body was designed. So the cell cycles in between, I think, protein synthesis and then autophagy, which is mediated through the lysosome, in which the lysosome breaks down degraded cellular components into their constituent, proteins and amino acids for reuse and recycling. But this rejuvenation and this recycling process only happens in periods of nutrient depletion. So that means in a period of fasting, in a fasting environment, when it's not nutrients being intaked, then the cell switches and goes into a restoration mode. So that's at a cellular level. But even beyond that, scientists now have identified in the epigenome that epigenome means above genome. It's not necessarily just the DNA, but it's more than that. That in the epigenome switches and different genes are turned on in different environments. And that when you fast, different genes that they now call longevity genes are activated, serotonins, in which they go into the upregulation of antioxidants, and your body begins to heal when you're not eating. So
go ahead.
Elijah Muhammad, he taught us these things, but at the time in which he revealed the information, we weren't necessarily ready to get into biology at that depth of level. The scientific community of the world didn't have that substance backing it at that time. But he didn't say that he discovered this in the lab. He said, Allah, God taught me in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. So that was the statement back then. But now in the modern time, we have the ability to prove it scientifically. Not just that, but in many, I would say all facets of life, not just biology, but planetary astrophysics. If we actually look at the supreme wisdom, when it talks about the planets in our solar system, it indicates that there's a massive planet out there in the Kuiper Belt, I believe. Right. So that aligns with some of the things that some scientists are saying now, that they believe there is this planet X, or people were talking about Nibiru, a few years ago, that sometimes some scientists, I forget his name, I have the information written down. He said he's like 90% sure that there's a massive body out there that scientists have just missed. But this actually aligns with the figures given to us in the supreme wisdom by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So it's endless if we want to utilize science to prove or validate the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad being exactly the man who he said he was.
I got a small round of applause. Wonderful build. I pray that you are enjoying the build. We don't have no comments though, no questions. So I'm like, either y'all are fast taking notes or y'all done falling asleep. So I don't know what's going on. I'm locked in. I'm wired, as y'all can see, and enjoying it nonetheless. Family, it's about halfway, a little bit more than halfway through the show. Normally we would highlight a Black-owned business at this time, but I want to do something even more special. This show, myself, or any of us, are not here without a mother or a father. At this time, I want to give a special shout out to my mother, Sister Kimberly Muhammad, my father, Brother Kyle Muhammad, celebrating 29 years of marriage today. All praises due to Allah. There's no small feat. We think about,
that's right,
a lot of science of, we talking about science, right? The science of mating, how to pick someone for more than, oh, you look like this, I like this about you, let's get together, but to strive to build something greater than themselves, produce someone, something, some system that can go and live beyond them. We know that the flesh is finite, but the idea and the work one puts in can live forever if properly nourished and nurtured. So I want to definitely thank my parents for just coming to the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, pouring into myself and my younger brother, Amin Muhammad, to pursue engineering, but to really develop a high love of self and love of God in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. That is an unmatched, and I'm thankful behind measure. They went up to the farm today, bro, and got to enjoy that for their anniversary. All
Praise be to Allah.
So I'm happy for them. And if you all are looking for a business, which I know you are, my mother is a certified doula, Reiki practitioner, as well as a pre or postpartum, I could be saying it wrong, yoga instructor. If you follow at Bedside Birthwork, that's at Bedside Birthwork on Instagram, you can see all of her content, as well as book services for the expecting mother or mothers that you have. And if you want to send a nice blessing on his anniversary day, you can cash at Kimberly Muhammad. That's KIMBERLY MUHAMMAD to support this momentous occasion. Big up, shout out to you, mom and dad. Love y'all. May Allah continue to bless you on this journey. Me and Khalifa only 2 years in, trying to be like y'all someday. All praises to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
So, oh man. So much in what you said. I want to go back to the epigenome or the epigenetics concept. Brother Nuri says this a lot, and I'm sure you've heard him say it. He'll say, in regard to health, people will say, oh, diabetes runs in my family. But he'll say, no one runs in your family. so like, you feel where I'm coming to, right? He's so humorous, but he's powerful and dynamic because he gets you to think right then and there. You stop everything you're thinking about and you really unpack that statement. No, these things don't run in your family, or whatever runs in your family is what you allow to persist within reason, right? Epigenetics, the understanding that in certain environments, your genetics legitimately change, right? So when we talk about environment being stronger than nature, we're understanding that, okay, what is the environment that I'm bringing into my body, right? What am I eating physically? Am I eating a lot of processed foods? Am I eating, quote unquote, alkaline foods or fruits and vegetables? Am I feeding myself that which is in line with literally how I'm created? My skin is veiny like the leaf, right? My bone is that of the earth, right? My blood is that of the sea, right? So those same things in accordance with my body composition, am I feeding myself that? What am I reading? What am I taking in? And now creating a new world inside of my body that I can then pass on as another legacy to my children, my children's children, children's children's children, right? So now we understand that just like the slave syndrome, or post-traumatic slave syndrome has been run down the line through epigenetics, we can really start to put a new epigenetic legacy in play by literally just what we eat and how we think, and in the physical environments we put ourselves in. So, bro, thank you so much for bringing that up. I feel like every time you talk, another question comes out, or you answer a question that I had myself. All praise due to Allah. So, talk to us more about Al Safat. So I know you mentioned it very briefly, but you gave some detail. We at the STEM Files, we have our parent company, Original Man Scientific, right? With that, it's a research and development company where we strive to deliver R&D to your community, right? Our goal is to have people who have ideas be able to come to us and get those ideas realized, but also us to be able to develop things internally on a number of different levels or networks to be able to push society forward. So we have our thing, but then Al Safat is doing things as well from an engineering perspective and technology standpoint. So could you unpack that more for us, beloved?
Yes, sir. It's similarly that we want that to be the parent company of multiple different subsidiaries that we establish in different areas of STEM. Well, not STEM, but different interdisciplinary regions for us to produce technology to provide solutions to the biggest problems that we face. So if we identify that we're not eating healthy food in our community. That's a huge problem. Then we want to provide the technology which will produce the means to solve that problem directly. So that could be in the form of, a greenhouse, but also it's not limited just to agriculture. That's just one component of it. Right now, we wanted that to be our first product that we bring to market, but we want to be able to ultimately produce technology in various disciplines, which will give us autonomy and will move us toward autonomy and producing our own everything are the most vital things. So we want to get into energy production eventually. We want to get into architecture, because we got to design our own communities, and ultimately we got to design our own cities for our own nation. So, everything struggles in its infantile stage. We're just launching initially and recruiting still minds, like myself, like yourself, minds that are ready and willing to put into work to produce this technology to create real tangible change. So that's really what it's all about. Technology company providing the solutions to the problems that a lot of people just talk about. So we want to do it. We want to be the implementation of solutions.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We know that the Honorable Mr. Farrakhan has taught us, and I'm paraphrasing a bit, pardon me, family, but in so many words that the human being is happiest when he or she is producing. We've gotten so used to being a consuming nation, whether it be black, brown, green, or whatever. Look at America. It's a kind of service-based or consuming type society. Not a lot of things are made or manufactured here, things overseas. And it's okay to be interdependent, but at a certain point, to really have a certain level of serenity, peace, and even happiness, to be able to think about something. And like Brother Nori says, become that and it squad. So he says, Allah says, kun fire, kun be, and it is. So B, all right, I got this nail shop idea, but I can't do that because of X, Y, and Z, or, they're not going to support me. No, B, I want this. Okay, and it. Go to work, get an LLC, get some like-minded individuals, save some money up, get a little engine up, kind of get you a corner, a spot or whatever, is nail salon, grand opening, and continue to keep it moving from there. So what if you had to say one or two things for anyone listening that may be in primary, secondary, tertiary school in STEM, looking to get their feet wet and get experience and just really assist a worthy cause from a technological perspective or a number of different perspectives? What is something that Al Safat can use assistance with right now?
Yes, sir. That's a great question. I would say some people I would love to do business with is Black ecologists and Black chemists, because chemistry is, as you know, as a material science, chemistry is everything, bro. When you're a chemist, I just feel like you could do anything. In truth, so we have mostly electrical engineers on the team so far, and a few people in agriculture. But if there's any any Black people or people in general looking to help the Black community that are developed in ecology or chemistry, that would be great. Great. But we're looking to also, partner with people. Yeah, yes, sir. And we're looking also to partner with people like, you and Tyreek and everybody that is in the STEM field at large, because we have so much work to do that we all have to know who each other are and what we can do and how we can work together to produce solutions. So, we work well with you and Tyreek, but also it's open to all people that are, because you think about how many HBCUs that we have across the country, how many Black engineers graduate every single year. I think about that all the time. There's so many of them, but what do? We go work at Microsoft or Google or Tesla or NASA and just continue to build the world at a precipice. So we have to just build really the infrastructure and the systems to then put these God minds in place for us now to build our own reality. That's really what it is. So I think it just takes the initiative, just like what Brother you and Tyreek have been doing. Y'all are growing a lot. Y'all came a long way just by being consistent. And then soon it's going to keep growing and keep growing. So we are trying to do that now and building our first prototype, bring it to market, get some revenue, and then scale up, bring the minds in to do bigger and better projects. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's where we're at.
All Praise you for allowing. Again, bro, you read my mind. I was legitimately just about to speak about. So at my job, being a civilian engineer, mechanical engineer for the Navy, working on ship fluid systems, I have the pleasure sometimes to go to different conferences to recruit. So I've been at NESB, I've been in Black Engineer of the Year Award conferences, things like the third, and it always makes me feel some type of way. I know I obviously did it or had to do it, but in my mind, trying to remain focused that this job is not the end all be all. It is not my desire to forever just be a naval mechanical engineer.
Right,
In a
absolutely.
capacity, I'm not working for self, right? But we go into these career fairs, man, and bro, they put the bells and whistles on. They got the Toyota cars out here and the Tesla tubes and all of these different bright and shiny things to bring you in. And I'm like, okay, I look at us and it makes me to feel like we are still kind of begging for the crumbs at the table. Not to say there's anything wrong with getting a job, having a high-paying job environment for your family, but to be able to think past that paradigm to imagine a completely Black-owned career fair. And that's small, but I'm talking about from who sponsors it, meaning who pays for it being a Black-owned building, us not only looking for jobs, but those who look like you giving you a job, but like you're not talking to an employee, you're talking to the business owner, right? So again, the more of us that make these companies and have storefronts or even have online businesses, we can come together and we can show literally, hey, we're not just spending our money together at a bazaar, but I'm looking to employ 10 people today. I need a software engineer. I need a IT analyst. I need a security guard. I need a cook or whatever. You know what I'm saying? My multimedia company, whatever I'm doing. And we flock to that, and we're able to do something like that. So that's the mindset I'm in sometimes, and I have mixed feelings when I go to some of these conferences because that's how I end up feeling. So, family, thank you so much, bro, for coming on the show. Like you were saying, this is, I think, your second time on live. This is an awesome build. I'm literally fired up. I think it's the coffee too, but we just gonna let that go. But as we get to the end of the show, we do something new now. We call it the STEM File Speed Round, and basically, we like to get to know some of our guests a bit outside of their chosen discipline, and kind of ask some mixed questions. So I want to pull that up. And basically, I'm going to say it and as fast as you can to try to give me an answer. We may unpack it a little bit, but we try to make it fun. All right. So I'm going to bring this up very quickly. Give me a quick second. Okay. So I have this here and I had some other questions I wanted to make sure I had too. All right. Okay. So first thing you do when you wake up. You're already slow.
First thing I do, inshallah, if it's a good day, you make prayer first in the remembrance of Allah. Yep. And then I usually take a shower and get ready for my work day. I'm trying to change my morning schedule now, actually, though, because that's low-key one of the most important aspects of the day to start working on projects before I do anything else. So, I mean, before I go to like my job and stuff.
Yes, sir.
Next question.
Okay. All right. Yes, sir. Professional research or volunteerism?
Could you elaborate a little bit?
Okay, like general volunteerism, doing something for like nothing in return other than making someone feel good or being out in the streets, or community volunteerism versus like being in academia doing professional research.
Am I supposed to like which one did I do more or which one I prefer?
No, pick one or the other.
Oh, okay. Volunteer work.
Okay. Walking or jogging?
Depends on how far. I say jogging because I got to get in shape.
This is you can't do this for the engineer. We overanalyze everything. You answer it like I answer it. It's hilarious. iPhone or Android?
Android.
Android? All right. You got a bit of a delay there, but it's all good. Okay. Step back or spin move?
Oh, spin move.
Mike said the same thing. I like spin move too. Okay. J. Cole or Kendrick?
J. Cole. That's easy.
Okay. Baked or grilled?
Baked.
Okay. Sci-fi or horror?
Sci-fi. I don't watch horror movies. I gotta keep my mind pure and
Favorite hobby?
learning new things.
Yes, sir. Good. Praise be to Allah. Okay. Let's see. Single-breasted or double-breasted suit?
Single.
Okay. Yes, sir. Sneakers or boots?
Sneakers.
Okay. If you could meet any scientist from the past, who would it be and why?
Emotep. From what I know, he was one of the key instrumental engineers who built the pyramids, and I think he would have a lot to share with me in multiple different disciplines, which would grow me closer into having the power of God to manifest any of my desires into reality.
Okay. Youth engagement or raising money for a nonprofit?
I would say raising money for a nonprofit, because sometimes when you have the money, you can build a system that will be more impactful than your individual engagement with a specific youth, potentially, or it could be the other way.
Like it. Worst job you ever had?
I haven't had many jobs. I would say the one I'm at right now is kind of rough. It's real time consuming.
All right, awesome. Chris Brown or Usher?
I don't know. They both can sing, so I guess it just depends on what day. I would say Usher usually.
Okay. It's funny because Mike said Usher too. Like Usher, bro, I grew up with Usher, but man, like Breezy, bro, he's really different, man. That boy's different.
Brown is talented, but
let him go. Okay.
He's talented, but a lot of his music is not. I mean, like many artists, I just feel like they don't accomplish their full potential with the substance of their music. I mean, not to say that Usher does, but I don't know.
I see what you're saying, and I've had that conversation with people too. Like people think more not original. I think some of the stuff he's done has been dope. Other things definitely look kind of low frequency, but I feel you on that. All right. So last question here, and we'll close it up. My name is Brother Shaheed Muhammad, and I am
a young man aspiring to grow into oneness with Allah in elegance and power.
All praise to my family. Yes, this is another edition of the STEM Files, where we highlight the best and brightest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We are the voice of STEM talent and Black culture. We have my big bro, Brother Shaheed, on tonight. He lit it up, set it off, inspired. I hope he inspired you, those of us watching, to do something just a little bit more tomorrow than we did today, to get an understanding of what your purpose is, to inspire those, your children, your coworkers, people who are in STEM, to just continue to do more and continue to advance our society one day at a time. Continue to support our content at hashtag the STEM Files on Cash App. Again, family, every Thursday and Saturday, 6 p.m., we, the brilliant engineer and Tiffany Tariq Cardiac, we are here striving to bring you this great content. Thank you so much. Anything you want to leave the family with, bro?
Just the notion that, regardless of what you're going through now, life is inherent with difficulties when you are striving to be something of worth, but, just keep going through it. Know that you can get through it and you can overcome and accomplish your situation, and you will come out better on the other side of perseverance and hard work. regardless of what discipline it
I
is.
love it. I love it. And where can yes, sir. Yes, sir. And where can people reach you if they want to learn more about what you do or just touch base and connect?
You can follow me on Instagram at KINGHEED_, and on YouTube, Shaheed the Scientist. And yeah, you can email me right there at SHAHEED779
All praise to Allah, bro. It's been a blast. I know Tariq is watching or will watch later. Is going to thoroughly enjoy. I wish he was on with us, bro. Let's keep it pushing. I will be calling you soon to touch base on a few things. You know how we roll, man. One day at a time. I'm thankful, bro, because you're a constant inspiration, beloved. You keep first things first, and you inspire me to keep moving. So, family, this has been the STEM Files.
Praise be to
Until
Allah.
next time, your brilliant
You're an
engineer,
inspiration for me, bro.
Shaheed Muhammad. Peace, man.
Peace.
Yes, sir.